Yo, I don't know about this side hustle thing. Hey guys, hello and welcome to episode 38 of the Thursday Night Grind. It is Thursday night, and every Thursday night I come on YouTube and I sharpen something on the bench at the American Edge. And tonight is awesome. I'm excited like I usually am. There's a little bit of serendipity going on with this going into this tonight. I was not totally sure what I was going to do. And then an article hit my feed in like just Google, served me up something, and it made a good article for the Guild, which is a community of professional knife sharpeners. You can learn more about that at guildofsharpeners.org. And it made a good article, and then lo and behold, a knife came in. If you want to read really that whole article and my response to that article, then you'd have to go check that out. That's at guildofsharpeners.org. But what we are going to do today is take a look at something going on with this knife that might not be totally apparent to you in this moment, but when I show you, you know what I'm talking about. First off, check this out. You see this? I got some swag. All right, hold on. Check this out. I pretty much used all of the working capital in my business to invest in clothing, which is weird for me, but I'm cautiously optimistic this is all going to pan out. I have sweet hoodies here, and I got t-shirts. If you are gaining value out of something that's coming out of here and this channel, and you want to hook me up, but at the same time get hooked up with yourself with some good threads, then let me know. Hit me up with an email. The hoodies are $40 delivered in the US, and the t-shirts are $20 delivered in the US. Hook it up. Yo, they're awesome too. Like I went with a local shop here to me, and like I coordinated with Steve, and like he helped me out with the design. I was like, yo, Steve, I don't know anything about clothing. I want it to be like a high quality thread and like hoodie and shirt and everything. Like I don't want to be, selling garbage to people. But at the same time, like I don't want to like go broke and like have no one buy it because no one wants to spend $40 on a t-shirt, right? So he helped me out. We found that middle ground. Like I went and got to meet him and stuff. We actually might do a little exchange with Sharpening. Like you vote with your wallet, right? That's the way I feel anyway. And when I'm spending my money locally, and quite a bit of money, honestly, I feel way better about it than like clicking through some weird like internet site and stuff. So anyway, I guess I tell you that too. If you're interested in getting one, like they're quality stuff, and I think they're cool. So I hope you do too. Hook it up, man. Okay, let's talk about knives. Okay, can you see what's going on here? This one isn't bad. I've definitely seen way worse, but let me call your attention to it in case you're not picking it up immediately. And like I'm still figuring out cameras and stuff, and it's just me. I don't have my cameraman to hook me up. So here's the thing, like it's kind of dark here and it's dark here, but it's light here and it's light here. So what would happen then, like if you were chopping veg, like you'd chop your veg and you'd miss a spot, right? See how that rolls the whole way, and then it's over here. It doesn't roll, right? All right, so that's like a little swale, and it makes total sense because the majority of the work when you're using this knife is right here, so that's where you're going to see the most wear. So I will say that I'm probably not as deliberate at looking for that. This one may have caught my eye. If it catches your eye, you should try to resolve it. So let's talk about a few ways to take care of this knife before we get into sharpening. There's two things I would look into with this. The first one would be on the belt sander, holding the knife vertically on the belt sander and just getting a clean cut there. And I'll set this up to show you what that looks like. The other way would be that I can think of anyway, is to use a flat bench stone and just grind that out so you get the nice rocky motion. Meaning like you'd hold the knife vertically on the bench stone and grind it this way. And then you'd have to go to the 1x30 and cut new bevels. you could, you know, if you're cutting new bevels anyway, it might just eat that up. But what also might happen is if you're cutting new bevels, since it's already worn here, you can potentially make the problem worse by the belt having more effect here. So you cause this to dish out even more, which, and you know, it's also called a swale. And the other thing to show you is, so this is a santoku. Can be a bigger deal with a chef knife with a bolster. So let's take a look at one of those. This knife has a much more pronounced bolster here. And what can happen is, in a lot of cases, that bolster doesn't get ground down when the edge gets sharpened and cut. So this one isn't bad, right? Like if I do this, you should see that dark spot move all the way down the blade and nothing's missed. So that one's fine. But this is oftentimes the spot where the issue is the most pronounced. And again, what can happen, especially with stones, as the stones roll into the bolster, this edge of the stone comes up, and then the grinding action of the stone is actually going to be right here on this corner, and then like an inch over here, which can cause that dishing out in this area even worse. So that's another place to watch out for that. The next thing is to go see how we can deal with this a couple different ways. Like with everything in sharpening, there are several ways to do everything. So this is just one. This is a Norton bench stone that I have soaked here for a few minutes. And what I can do, I know my spot is right around here. So I know this should give you the heebie-jeebies, right? Like, this is not what you're supposed to do with a knife. If I didn't plan on, if I wasn't prepared to grind that out on the belt, I would be more hesitant to do this. And honestly, I should tell you that if I were not cutting a video, I'd probably just do this on the belt sander, which we'll get to next, but I didn't want to gloss over this as a possibility. Coming off the stone, that actually looks good. I'm just, for interest of time, you're gonna have to take my word for it. I put this back down on the bench and, you know, sighted light under it, and it rolls nicely, the dark spot all the way along. We're not done though, right? Like when I go to cut a new bevel on here, we need to be careful and check again that it doesn't that it doesn't hollow this part out again. One thing I'm looking at is if we get to the point where the thickness is the same all the way here, then when we cut that bevel on it, it should cut all the way, it should cut even. What I'd be worried about is if there was still a thin spot right here and it was thicker here, the very edge I mean, then same thing, like when I go to cut, that belt's gonna cut the whole way. So even if it cuts the same amount here that it does here, it could still get that dishing out effect. So those are some things I'll be looking for on the belt sander, but let's go over there and I'll just set it up to show you how I would have approached this straight up on the belt sander. So here we are at the 1x30, got the 120 belt on here. I'm looking at maybe doing some work here. A couple of things we could try out, right? So I'm gonna move this little guard back. We could try some action like this, but I think we're probably gonna get the best results if we keep an eye on it and put a steep angle here to cut the edge this way. Again, you got to be careful that you're focusing your cutting where it matters more and less where it matters less. But I'll take a few strokes here. We're pretty much ready to cut a bevel anyway, but I'll just take a stroke to see what that looks like. Something like that, right? And then I can just sight it on the bench and we're good. So let's cut bevels. With the bevels cut, the way I'm going to finish this knife is a way you've seen before, but I am going to demo one new thing for you today that I've been pretty amped about, and that is this belt. But this comes last, and we'll talk about it when we get there. What's going on here is I have my two work sharp systems set up with the blade grinding attachment. I run the coarse belt here, I run the fine belt here. I've got them both set to 21 degrees. Historically, when I was done with the fine one, I would take it over to the Tormek and remove the wire edge on the leather wheel on the Tormek. But Doug put me onto the honing, not exactly these are the cloth belts offered by Worksharp. He's working on some leather belts from another supplier, but I've been, these are ones where you get a compound, you goop them up, and the results coming off of this belt have been far superior than the ones coming off the Tormek, so I just wanted to show you that. Okay, here's what that looks like. So I guess I need to show you two things before we go. One is going to be a smooth transition there. And the other thing is the cut test. Okay. Dope. So tonight we talked about a few ways to recover a little dishing out or a swale in the edge of a knife. Let's be straight up here. The way I treat that is if I see it, I'm going to try to take care of it. If the customer calls my attention to it, I'm going to address it. If it's wicked small, it might get by me, right? Like, I don't know, but again, like, so use your best judgment when you're sharpening. Like maybe, yeah, look for it. And if you see it, correct it. But I don't think it's something to flip out about or lose much sleep over. But there's a few ways to handle it. How do you do it? Are there any other techniques you would use to do that work? And make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do, as in like hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, and like leave a little comment. Make sure you buy some swag, right? Check it out. Get some swag. You can do that. Right now I'm going to set up eventually I'm going to set up a link on my website and I'll direct you to that. For now, just send me an email. Yo, man, dig your channel. I'd love a t-shirt. Here's my address and I'll Venmo you some dough. Send that to matt@americanedgesharpening.com. And if you want to get paid for work like this, go to guildofsharpeners.org. Peace.